Today we are not only going to look at these amazing statues from Elite Creature Collectibles that I've been hunting for a very long time, but about how hunting them actually ended up me being on an episode of NBC News. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Mr. X and today we are looking at two amazing statues, or maquettes, which is just a really fancy word to say these are 1/3 scale or 3 times smaller than a real life version of pieces from the movies Underworld. That's right, on my right, your left, we have the Lycan from the first Underworld movie, arguably the best. And on the left, we have Marcus, one of the main 3 vampires in his vampiric form of half bat, half human from the second movie, Underworld Evolution. Now, I quite like most of the Underworld movies simply for the fact that it's werewolves or Lycans versus vampires. How cool is that? So these two pieces are made by Elite Creature Collectibles and they have been out for a very long time. And if you recall, I made a video a while back, this video right here you can check out, of statues that I've always wanted but never been able to get. Now when we get to value, which is towards the end, I'm going to talk to you about the crazy story on how I acquired these pieces and I ended up on the news. A little bit of background, if you don't know what Underworld is, like I said, it started out as one movie and I think it ended up being 5 or 6 movies of Lycans or werewolves or shapeshifters that can turn into a werewolf at any time versus vampires. Originally, the werewolves were the vampires' pets or daytime guardians. Then eventually, as most slaves do, as you can see right here, they used to be slaves, they have shackles on them, they rose up against their masters because they wanted independence. So there's been a shady blood war going on for centuries, and the movies kind of revolve around that. The main character, Selena, who's played by Kate Beckinsale, and they even made a crossbreed, a half vampire, half werewolf, which is not as cool as it sounds. So Elite Creature Collectibles made these. They're very big into movie pieces. They're very into high-end pieces. And these pieces, like I said, I've really wanted for a long time. I've never seen in person, and they are absolutely incredible. So today we're going to do kind of a non-traditional review because we're going to review both pieces. We're going to show the unboxing and assembly. We're going to rate all the different categories. So let's just kick it off and start with concept. Now, while these pieces are not sold together, as you can see, they're meant to be together with the same bases and even a pose that looks like they're facing off. So we're going to rate everything together, kind of a non-traditional review. So with that concept, let's look at the base. So you have these large concrete bases with some vampiric writing on them and some chains. So this shows it was a jail or a cell where maybe they held the Lycans. And this Lycan is not only huge, but he is broke out. So he's broke out and he's going to fight, like I said, one of the king vampires or one of the elders. This is Marcus, who's always thought to be the strongest. That's why he has half bat form he can kind of turn into. And you can see he's kind of leaping off as this Lycan is about to attack him. Now, to my knowledge, this is just a normal Lycan or a normal werewolf. The strongest of the werewolves, I think his name was William, he was actually white. And I'm glad they went with this, although it makes the battle kind of puny because we know that Marcus could kill this werewolf probably in a second. But they're in a very action dynamic pose. They look great separately. They look great together. Where Marcus is taking off ready to fight him. The werewolf is growling ready to fight him. It's fantastically done. Matching bases. Little nameplates as you saw on the front. Because one is from the first movie. One is from the second movie. I love it. Concept is phenomenal. I actually give it a 4 out of 5. I cannot wait to display him on top of all my horror stuff. If you want to see what that looks like, check out the Extreme Channel Instagram, Facebook, and of course, my new TikTok page. Design is fairly simplistic on these. I was actually really surprised on a few things. Number one, I was surprised how big the Lycan is. It's a lot bigger than I thought it'd be.
That's what she said.
Number 2, how light the statues actually were, especially the wings on Marcus. Number 3 was how awesome they were packed. It was really prestige packing and it got me even more excited as I unboxed it. Even Mrs. X was impressed. Check it out. 2 very large boxes. The seller actually shipped them on a pallet and it was wrapped perfect. Each ECC box has a white box inside the shipper. So this is the Marcus, and the bases actually come upside down, but you can see the felt padding around it. Here's the second layer. You can see Marcus wrapped extremely well. Each comes with a really cool book that not only tells you a lot about how they made it and everything ECC put into the piece, but the origins, who the people were behind it. And then they even include stuff about like the character itself. So for example, here's a little blurb about who Marcus is. And ECC always includes a COA or Certificate of Authenticity. So the foam that they were in was actually black foam, but it's more like the white foam if that makes sense. Here's the COA for the Lycan and the Lycan. The base was in upside down. That's how it's packed, a little bit different. And then the other layer was the Lycan itself and a few of the accessories. Here is the Lycan book, just like Marcus. It's pretty cool that they do this. Like I said, it's pretty nice packaging. A lot of stuff goes into this. Hopefully I'm not paying more for the packaging because I would rather it be cheaper without all this. No switch outs, no nothing. The only display options you can do is these shackles on the Lycan actually can come off. That is about it. And frankly, I don't think there needs to be anything else. Let's get some brief dimensions for you guys. The tallest part of the Lycan is probably a little bit under 26 inches. Marcus is way almost 34 inches. And his wingspan is damn near 47. Holy shit, 40, yeah, almost 4 feet wingspan. That's kind of nuts. Right here, how they're posed together, because I think there needs to be a little bit of gap, and they are almost 50 inches. And then the depth on them is pretty negligible. You're about 18, 19 inches or so. Marcus's base is much smaller. It's about half the size of the Lycan. And I opened Marcus first, so I foolishly thought that the Lycan base would be small as well. So one other thing with design, I got this tattered piece. I don't know what it goes to. You know, maybe it could put over the werewolf like he's, you know, a little old woman dressed up as Red Riding Hood's grandma or something. So I don't know what this is for, so someone throw that in the comments down below, but it feels nice. So the only worry I would have with design is Marcus have a leaning issue, but this has been out for quite a while, and to my knowledge, there haven't been any issues. So I think we're good to go. So I think design-wise, they did a fantastic job. The only seams are the back of Marcus's wings. You can check out a picture here. Pretty minimal. So I give the design a 4 out of 5 as well. Done an excellent, way above average. Paint and sculpt, equally impressive. These are incredible pieces, but let's go ahead and look at the video. So I've never really done this with two people at the same time before. But let's dive in, starting with the bases. So as you can see, very similar bases other than the size difference. They're both, you know, reminiscent of some destroyed courtyard or something of that nature. I think some of this design pattern on the back is vampiric writing or symbols of some type. There were some cool scenes in the book from that. So both of them, it looks like it was an area where they actually kept the Lycans chained up, hence the chains. So these are real metal. Even the cuff itself, which I think is pretty cool, and then real metal chains stapled down. I think that's a fantastic addition. And the base itself has almost like a runoff moss water effect, almost like there was some old pungent water, where it's neat that Marcus's over here is actually dry. And this looks like real stone marble. I mean, just the paint on it and the weathering and the cracks, pretty neat. Where it's very moist. They have a clear resin effect on the Lycan piece. And a little drain down here, which is an awesome detailed effect. But I really like how it's pooled up. So I like the fact that it is different on each of the bases. Really quick, these plaques. I'm not a big supporter of nameplates here. These don't have the names, but the names of the movie. But I thought for pieces, so expensive, just let's get them. So a lot of the similar stuff about the stone ground and the green effect. Underworld does look nice on there. And then Marcus is over here, very similar. I don't know if these were made at the same time. I would assume that they are, at least the concept were released. A little stone back wall on the back. So not really a lot going on with the bases, but they look great. I think it's a really nice addition there. And with Marcus, let's look at him first. So he does have mixed media, or what we call fabric, so it's not sculpted, but there are posable wires in there. You can actually feel the posable wires, so I think it's neat that you can do that. I kind of like the way that it came out of the box, so I'm going to leave it that way. But even the boots he has on the ground, these are leather. So this is actually sculpted right here. It's this faded black leather on there. Looks like leather, at least. I mean, hell, it could be real leather for all I know. Hard to tell. And then the pants and the dress, the purple and brown dress. It looks great, and the purple really highlights some of the colors we're going to see in Marcus. Then he has this belt right here, probably the only weak part of the statue. It has a little bit of a plastic feel and plastic look to it, but I like the ornate designs. And we'll move to the torso in a sec, but let's look at the Lycan's lower half. So as I said, a lot bigger than I thought he'd be, but fantastic job on the toes. I like how it's the black turning into the enamel color. And then even on I almost called it a hoof, paw, leg, whatever you want to call it. I think, they do a great job with Lycans. The limbs, especially the legs, are always elongated because typically, as you guys know, wolves run on all fours. So I think they did a really nice job with that. I like the way they preserve the skin. It's kind of cracked. And then they have a mix of almost black circles around the brown spots. And the musculature is spot on, I think. And then they have real hair. So kind of on where the back of his calf would be. And what's cool is the hair isn't all brown. There's some white or gray hair mixed in there. I think that's a nice touch. As we know, Lycans and vampires have a long life. I think it was the really large black guy. He was in, the older movies as one of the first Lycans. Stuck around for quite a while. But just fantastic job overall. Really impressed. And there's his no-no square. But let's move up. We'll look at his torso. I like how you see the rib cages here, and you have almost a lighter color on the front. It looks lighter on the phone than it is in real life, but great musculature along the biceps. A lot of the same comments about his hands. I love the bony fingers, the nails on the end. And then these are the shackles that are optional, metal as well. The position of the fingers is great. Then his portrait. While it's not as good, I would say, as the ECC bust I have, it's almost identical. You have the long hairs coming from the ear. Inside the ear, it looks real, almost a little bit of a moist effect when looking at it close. Again, you see the hair. I think these are individually rooted in. You see a mix of gray and black, and then it almost fades to a little bit of gray. And then check out the mohawk going all the way down the back. Very cool. There's his ass. That's America's ass. But I like how stylized that is. Almost looks like there's gel in there. Close-up of the portrait here. The mouth looks fantastic. I like that moist effect. I like the coloring on the teeth. Very similar to the nails, but not a little bit different. Really awkward angle with my phone here. The eyes, fantastic looking eyes. Those deep piercing eyes. Kind of a blue shade over. I think I like the Lycan a lot better than Marcus, even though Marcus has done really well. First, let's look at his wings. They do look a little bit plasticky. They have some veins running through, and it has this purple highlighted color. I like the bone on it. So it looks like a real wing, what a real wing would look like, an oversized bat. You can see where the bones would be. And on his torso, again, very similar attributes to the werewolf. You feel like when they turn into a vampire, their internal organ structure and bone structure changes, and you see that on here. You can see more of those purple highlights, not only where the veins are. And then it moves up to a darker black, purple, blue color up here on the shoulders. I think that's a great transformation difference. And hopefully you're seeing a good shot here. I can't even see where I'm coming from. It gives you a shot of the back where you're typically not going to see that. Now, same comments on his fingernails. They're all black, but I like how it's the transition of the color from this pale white that they use everywhere. Then he has a highlight on the veins of the purple. Yeah, I am a fan of the Lycan over Marcus. However, Marcus has done fantastic. Let's look at his portrait. First, his ears. This is where it has really that bat feel. I like the striations of the purple going there. Almost looks like a cone. And then his portrait. His eyes are completely blacked out, looks good. The sawed-off nose, part of his character. And again, very cool highlights of that purple, almost especially under the camera here, like a little moist effect over his body. I think they got the likeness spot on for both of these. He always had kind of this overbite that you see with those teeth. I wish he would have had some sharp vampire teeth. I don't think that would be movie accurate, but it'd be cool if they had that. Fantastic pieces on the paint and sculpt for sure. Let's start with the sculpt, and with this, let's talk about the likeness. To my knowledge, they nailed it. It actually looks a little bit better than some of the movies. So I think the sculpt overall, not only because of the likeness, but the other stuff we talked about, is 5 out of 5. Really impressive, really well done. Paint, equally impressive. You know, other than the dress that Marcus is wearing, I love it. I think the Lycan is better than Marcus. I think Marcus's wings, there were some flavors I would have liked to see done differently. Yeah, I said flavors. But I still think both are 5 out of 5. Very impressed. I think this is top-notch quality when it comes to paint, which you would expect from Elite Creature Collectibles or ECC. Now, normally these guys run for, the Lycan itself runs anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000, and Marcus runs anywhere from $3,000, we're going to say, all the way up to $6,000. I think they both retailed right around $2,000 plus shipping. Now, one of the coolest YouTube channels out there, Rafael Robledo, and I hope I'm saying his name right. I put a link up there in the card. You can check it out. He buys almost every single ECC piece, and he does amazing repaint jobs, and I watch him all the time. He actually put these up for sale, so I reached out to him. I asked him for a price, and he was doing a pretty fair price of $6,500 plus shipping for both. And I reached out to one of my really good virtual friends, and virtual, because I hadn't met at the time. And I said, hey, how much did you buy yours for? Hey, we're moving and ours are actually boxed up. Do you want to buy them? I'll give you a great deal. I'll give you $5,500 shipped. I said, done. And then I ended up on the news. Check it out.
All the attention we had received from the first 2 investigations would prevent men from showing up. And I worried that we'd come back with nothing but video of me, pacing around a kitchen by myself. That wasn't the case.
Oh, hey, Mr. X.
Hey, how's it going? I'm here to get the statues.
The statues are here. Come on in.
Wow, this place is fantastic. So where are the statues at?
I'll get to that in a minute. Who are you?
Well, I'm Mr. X.
Oh, right there. Please have a seat. What are you doing here today?
I'm here to buy a statue from Michelle.
What did she say to you?
Well, she told me that she was going to sell me the Elite Creature Collectibles Marcus and Lycan 1/3 scale Maquettes.
Explain it to me.
So these are 2 very highly sought after statues that I've wanted for a long time. And I asked her how much she paid for hers because I was going to buy it from someone else, and she actually offered she offered hers for sale.
Are you sure?
I'm 100% sure. I can show you the text.
What am I supposed to make of that?
I'm just a statue collector and reviewer. I'm here to buy statues. That's all. That's the only reason I'm here.
So you're cool with all this?
Yes, this is what I do. This is like a big hobby of mine.
And how many other times have you done this?
You mean like go to somebody's house? Like once or twice?
Well, that's hard for me to believe, Vincent.
Well, I mean, as far as buying a statue, that's all I'll do. But I surf, the web all the time looking for new stuff.
How often do you go on the internet?
Probably every day. I mean, it's not illegal. What's the problem here? I mean, I'm just here to get some statues. I mean, it's not like I've done this before.
Well, what made you do it this time? I mean, just help me to understand what's going on in your mind.
It was just a lot cheaper because shipping prices are through the roof.
I mean, you see how this looks.
I have no idea what your problem is. This is normal.
You just think this is just fun?
Yeah, I'm kind of addicted to buying statues, so what's the big deal if I buy a new one?
But that doesn't mean it's okay to do this.
I have the means. I mean, what else do you think I'm doing here?
Well, what else am I supposed to think?
You can think whatever you want. I know I'm here.
How far did you drive today?
Like 6 blocks. It wasn't very far.
Look, I can understand how tough that is on you.
But why does that make it okay?
I mean, I know I don't need these, but I just wanted them.
You're an adult now. You know better.
Yeah, but I have a bad problem where I keep wanting to buy them.
It's that bad.
It's always been like this. I remember it's like I always wanted to fill this void. And, it helps take away some other pain. So that's why I do this, and by doing this, it really helps. I mean, because I've had some bad stuff happen to me in the past.
What did that do to you?
I don't want to talk about that. I'm here to buy a statue, and I don't see you pointing out my problem as necessary to the conversation.
How are you going to get back on track here?
I don't need to get back on track. This isn't a problem.
What do you do for a living?
On my YouTube channel, that's what everybody asks me. It's my most common asked question, and I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to tell you.
You might as well just tell me, because I can find out like that.
Okay, fine. I sell toilet paper, and I made tons of money by starting this rumor that toilet paper cures coronavirus. Okay? So seriously, I'm just here to buy a statue from Michelle. Who the hell are you? I know you're not her husband.
I will tell you that in a minute.
What, are you a cop? You must be a cop.
You think I'm law enforcement?
I respect you. I mean, I've always wanted to be a cop.
Want to be a cop? Well, then why don't you go join the police academy?
I'd really want to, but I'm not only getting old, but, I've gained like a COVID 20 pounds. I feel like I'm fat.
Look, I had a father who was overweight. I get it. It's tough. Have you tried to get some help?
Well, it's not that big of a problem. I just need like a simple solution.
Did you ever try to diet?
I do, but I'm kind of a stress eater and drinker. So, I mean, I can't do it alone.
Promise to get some help. Please.
I do. I plan to. I'm probably going to up again.
How else have you effed up?
I don't want to talk about that.
Listen, I can empathize with all of that.
So who are you?
So man to man, will you look at me for a minute? I take no glee in any of this, by the way.
I'm Chris Hansen, patient.
Are you kidding me?
So if there's anything else you want people to know, anything you want to say, now would be a good time to say it.
So big thank you to Michelle. Fantastic transaction. Kind of an interesting fact is she actually shipped them before I even paid. And I paid her and her husband via, I think it was Zelle or something like that, where if they decided not to ship them for $5,500, I would have been scammed. But it's very cool to know there's a lot of other collectors out there that you can establish relationships with and have that kind of trust. So big thank you. I'm so happy with the purchase. Really appreciate it. Can't really give a value on these, but I feel like I got a good deal. Now, do these have the X factor? Are they a 5 out of 5 statue? Of course they are. I mean, they're fantastically done. I wouldn't say they're the favorite in my collection, but they're going to definitely stay in my collection for a very long time. And I do like the movies. I don't think they're the best out there, but I think the fact of werewolves versus vampires, if you're like me, you grew up loving vampires and werewolves, you will absolutely love these. So I really appreciate you guys watching. Please hit that picture of me and subscribe. Hit the bell notification. Drop me a like on your way out. Throw down a comment below. I almost said throw down a comment. I have been drinking. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.